We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just click the banner now or go to ZipRecruiter.com/iHeart. That's ZipRecruiter.com/iHeart. ZipRecruiter.com/iHeart.
We're here with Raul from Bank of America and Layla. We're here today to discuss an incredible financial tool called BetterMoneyHabits.com. Layla, I need to know all about you. Tell me all about you. Where are you from? What do you do?
Born and raised in Southern California. I'm a producer, so I drive a lot. And my 1998 vehicle that I got when I was 16 just doesn't cut it anymore, and I need to upgrade. So my question is, do I buy? Do I lease? I feel like I need to get a nicer car because I'm showing up to photo shoots and I need to look presentable.
And so if you go to Better Money Habits, there's actually a topic around how to buy a car and topics and concepts for you to understand. There's some sections there about the true cost of a car, topics on financing a car, do you buy, do you lease? All questions that are asked so that you can really understand whether buying or leasing is the best fit for you based on your own personal financial situation.
Layla, thank you so much for being here. I hope that helped. To learn more, please visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
Brought to you by Better Money Habits, powered by Bank of America. Member FDIC. Better Money Habits is an educational resource and not intended for financial or investment advice.
Talk.org. Southland weather from KFI. Mostly cloudy skies out there tonight into tomorrow morning. Lows in the mid-40s. Should gradually clear up to mostly sunny skies tomorrow by midday and a degree or two cooler than today. Highs close to 60 at the beaches, just under 70 Metro LA, Orange County, mid-70s Inland Empire in the valleys. About the same into and through the weekend. Right now in Laguna Beach, 57. Orange, 51. Hollywood, 53. West Covina, 50 degrees.
Cheers, man.
KFI News leads local news on the hour on the half and when it breaks. I'm Michael Crozier.
From the heartland of America, the gateway to the West. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. I'm George Norrie, and welcome to Coast AM. Later on tonight, alien civilizations. Here's what's happening. Well, they're saying a refrigerator may be the cause of that Oakland, California warehouse inferno that killed at least 36 people over the weekend. Alameda County Sheriff Greg Arms says that a person who escaped this very deadly blaze told authorities there were flames coming from the refrigerator, and evidence found at the scene so far supports that claim. A federal judge who ordered Michigan to begin its recount effectively ended it on Wednesday, tying his decision to a state court ruling that found that Green Party candidate Jill Stein had no legal standing to request another look at the ballots. Time magazine has named President-elect Donald Trump as its Person of the Year. The news magazine billed Trump as the president of the divided states of America. The cover story unveiled marks the 90th Person of the Year designation by Time. Dr. John Curtis, onlinecolumnist.com, has been following the campaign and the election. He's been with us ever since. And John, in this particular case, this is indeed an honor for Donald Trump.
Well, I'm glad that Angela Merkel didn't get it. I mean, it's an honor, except for the fact that Time Magazine is one of these most liberal, biased publications right now that was gunning from him from the entire campaign. So while he may think it's like a, token, some kind of a bone thrown to him, it's really, again, sort of given to him with the background of great criticism. And look at what, here he is, he raised the issue of the federal government paying $4 billion to Boeing, that nobody questions these things in the past. And of course, Trump owns, Boeing jets. He owns a Boeing 757, and he knows what the prices are. So can you imagine somebody daring to say to Boeing, you're overcharging the government? Like that hasn't happened for the last umpteen years. And can you imagine he has the audacity, the temerity, the lack of protocol call, to take a congratulatory phone call from the president of Taiwan, insulting these people in China. Who are the people in China to lecture Trump as to what he should do, who he should talk to, and what he should say? And I think that Trump deserves Person of the Year, not because of what Time Magazine says. He deserves it because he's standing up to this government corruption that is rampant and this incompetence in Washington and trying to do something different for this country and get this economy going. And I think that, I can't think of a better consolation than to get Person of the Year for him, because I really don't think there's anybody else that deserves it.
All right, John Curtis, we'll be talking with you soon. This is going to be a fascinating 4 years. Pakistani officials said there are no survivors from a plane that crashed soon after takeoff, carrying 48 passengers and crew on board. Very sad story out there. Many people are prone to remembering events that never happened, according to new research by the University of Warwick. In a study on false memories, Dr. Kimberly Wade in the Department of Psychology demonstrates that if we are told about a completely fictitious event from our lives and repeatedly imagine that event occurring, almost half of us would accept that it did indeed happen. I'll tell you what else is strange these days. Fake news happening all over the place on social media, really playing havoc with all kinds of things. Lauren Weinstein, an expert on the internet with us. It's kind of gotten out of hand, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been growing for a long time. This election has really put it into the spotlight. As we discussed recently, I have just started collecting data on this at factsquad.com, FACTSQUAD.com, and I'm asking people to input on the form their instances of fake news that they find, that is, news that they feel is fake. But what makes this so complicated is that there are many different motives for which fake news shows up. Clearly, there are political motives, and it occurs across the political spectrum, though data right now suggests there was much more intractable long-term use of fake news on the right in this cycle. And you just have to look at things like this Pizzagate situation, which is, a complete fraud, a complete created out of whole cloth fantasy, and a guy went into that place and started shooting it up a few days ago. What happens, though, is it's not just political. You also have people that are into the fake news business just for the money. And it turns out a lot of them are very young. They're in other countries. A lot of them are in Russia, and we know that there's been Russian government influence on fake news. But also there's just individuals who have gotten together and they figured out that you can get a lot of clicks from fake news. And the internet economy that has evolved, which wasn't what was planned originally, and I was there originally.
It's based on clicks.
Based on clicks. So think of it this way. If you're going to get paid based on clicks, which story is going to get the most clicks? One that discusses the type of pepperoni on a pizza, or one that makes up fraudulent claims about sex slaves at a pizza place?
Yep.
It's just dollars and cents for many of these people. Some of them don't have any political motives at all. They'll do whatever they think will get the most clicks and cause the most confusion. And the reason this is so, this kind of ties in with what you were just saying about false memories. If you're in what we call a filter bubble or an echo chamber, if the systems like Facebook is designed to show you things that it thinks you want to see based on what you've already seen. So if you keep seeing things that reinforce your current beliefs, it becomes almost impossible to determine whether or not someone is slipping fake news in there if it seems to fit. And right now, a lot of people are trying to figure out how do you get around this? How do you help people determine whether they're looking at something that is accurate or something that's just, a matter of opinion, or something that's just completely fraudulent?
Yes.
When it becomes so lucrative to pass the fraudulent material off as if it's real.
They're just going to have to listen to our show, Lauren.
That can help.
You got it. Thanks. Lauren Weinstein. Listen to this story. A poodle returns to the owner after vanishing 9 years ago. I love stories like this. When Sally Butters lost her dog, Gigi, she did what many of us would do. She put up posters. She searched her Sacramento, California neighborhood. She worried. She hoped. The dog had gone missing during a burglary of Sally's home. And no matter how hard she looked, Sally could not find Gigi. That was 9 years ago. This week, Gigi was returned home. She says, I'm shocked because you always hope you'll get your dog back, but 9 years? And she's 13 years old, still alive? What a Christmas present. She was crying. The toy poodle had belonged to Butters' mother. She remembered sneaking Gigi into the hospital in a gym bag the night her mom died so that Gigi could sit on her lap. Butters had no idea what would happen that night. By sunup, Gigi would belong to her again. Fast forward to this week, a family found Gigi wandering in Roseville, California. 9 years later. It's amazing. Earth's days are getting longer, but you're not likely to notice anytime soon. It would take about 3.3 million years to gain just 1 minute, according to a study that was just published. And in a moment, we're going to take a space traveler's guide to the solar system. Mark Thompson joins us as we go live to the United Kingdom in just a moment on Coast to Coast AM. C. Crane CC Pocket Radio is one of the most popular radios on the market today. Order this week and receive free standard shipping to get your radio in time for Christmas, and that's going to save you some money. The CC Pocket Radio has unbeatable AM and FM reception. It's clear, crisp audio for its size, and it's really lightweight, easy to hold. It's got rubber sides. You just hold it with one hand. It's really cool. The CC Pocket Radio. It's got a clock, a sleep timer, a weather alert. It's got it all. Jay Butler says, best radio reception for pocket radio I've ever owned. C. Crane has a masterpiece here. CC Pocket Radio. It's a wonderful late night companion. It'll fit on your pillow, stand up right there on your nightstand as well. And included in the package, CC Pocket earbuds from C. Crane. Tuned for talk radio listening. Now to order the CC Pocket
I can't
Radio,
go to NorCal, sorry.
standard shipping. Call C.
Is that where you're from, Jay Gris? I'm sorry it took so long to respond. I was listening to the radio.
Are you planning a weekend getaway, your family's holiday break, or a sunny winter escape? Hi, I'm Jen O'Neill.
And I'm Jeff Manheimer.
And we're the founders of Tribune.com, the world's largest site for vacation homes and short-term rentals.
On Tribune.com, you can easily search and compare vacation rentals from the world's most trusted sites, so you spend less time planning and more time relaxing.
Visit Tribune.com today to find the perfect cabin, beach house, or condo for your next trip.
That's TRIPPING.com.
To find the perfect place to stay, go to Tripping.com today.
An important message from Medicare. I found a better deal on prescriptions. I found a new plan with lower costs. It's Medicare Open Enrollment. Have you compared plans yet? Who knows what you might find? Check out your options at Medicare.gov or call 1-800-Medicare. You never know unless you go. Medicare Open Enrollment, October 15th through December 7th. Brought to you by the Department of Health and
Middle
Human Services.
school, and then a little bit of high school, and then like my last year of high school, I was already pretty. So anyways.
Okay, welcome back to Coast. Mark Thompson with us. George Norrie here as a presenter on the BBC Stargazing Live Show. Mark Thompson has helped inspire millions of people to get out and enjoy the night sky. Mark has also been a key contributor to the BBC's The Sky at Night, and his articles can be found in Astronomy Now and Discovery News, as well as his book, A Space Traveler's Guide to the Solar System. I bet you enjoyed space, Mark, when you were a kid, didn't you?
Yes, I loved it. I was 10 years old. I was taken to the local astronomy society by my dad, like many children probably have been. And I saw Saturn through a telescope, and I was absolutely stunned to see a planet for real through a telescope and see the rings. It was no better than pictures I'd seen in books, but it was a real live image of a planet, and it was stunning, and it was something that inspired me to learn more about the universe.
Same thing happened with me, Mark. Same thing. My dad got me a telescope for Christmas. I was raised in Detroit, Michigan, went outside on a very cold night.
They always are, aren't they?
Yep. And then there was Saturn, looked at it through the telescope, and you see the little tiny rings around it, and it's almost like a painting out there in the universe. It's like somebody painted it right there. I couldn't believe it.
You're right. I mean, it's kind of almost. It looks almost false, doesn't it? You know, I think the sky looked. I remember the sky looked perfectly black.
Yeah.
It was velvety black. The colours seemed so vivid, and it was, and because it was real, it just seemed to stand out much clearer, much crisper than I would expect it to have looked. It was an amazing experience.
I was looking for the string to see what was holding up the planet out there.
I don't think you'll find one. You need a pretty strong piece of string.
Well, and now Cassini doing its last-moment flybys of Saturn and Saturn's rings. Look how technology has gone in really a short time.
It is pretty impressive, you know, that the amount of technology that they can cram into small spacecraft. You know, you've got to look at the various probes that have been to Mars, or even the New Horizons mission that went all the way out to Pluto. You know, these things have been built to last. I think about all the technology I've got at home, and I've got probably nothing in my house which is much more than sort of 5 or 6 years old that still works. Yet this technology that's chucked out of space, it experiences quite extreme conditions, and yet it still lasts for decades in many cases. The Voyager probes are still going. You know, they can cram an amazing amount of technology into a small amount of space, but they can also make it last, and that is very, very impressive.
When you started getting a little older, but you still stayed very interested in astronomy and space and the universe, how did you start applying that to your life, to your career?
Well, you know, my sort of, as I grew up, all I did to foster that enthusiasm for astronomy is I went along to my local astronomy society, and I've got to thank my dad. He would nearly every week, not every week, but nearly every week, he would take me along to my local astronomy club, and he would sit in the car and wait outside and listen to sports channels on the radio while I was indoors in the astronomy club talking to other like-minded people, and I was just surrounding myself with people who loved astronomy and space as well. So I spent many years going along, immersing myself in astronomy, along with dreaming, of course, of travelling around the solar system, of becoming a spaceman, which never quite worked, never quite panned out. But it's kind of spending as much time with people who loved astronomy was kind of what I needed to learn more about the subject. And I did that for many years, and I didn't really get into astronomy as a career until later in life.
When we were youngsters, at that point, and you and I were probably pretty close in age, I would guess that there were no other planets found outside of our solar system. Yet I bet you believed, as I did, there were many planets out there.
Do you know, I don't think it's anything that ever crossed my mind at that age. I think at that age, I just looked at books that talked about the planets in the solar system. Many of them we hadn't actually got real pictures of. So I can remember in the UK, at least, we used to have bags or boxes that had tea. Used to come with little picture cards in them, and you used to get a book that you could collect those picture cards and put them in. And there was a space picture card book that you could collect all the images. And you know, not many of them actually had pictures from the surface or close up of many of the planets. And it's amazing to think that now, sort of 30 odd years on, and we've visited, not necessarily landed on, but we've visited every single planet in the solar system. But you're right, back then, I don't think we didn't know about any planets beyond our own, what we now class 8 planets in the solar system. So the thought of planets elsewhere in the galaxy, certainly we thought they were there, but we had no evidence of that at all.
I used to get into a running conversation with my science teacher when I was about 14 or 15 years old. And I told him, Mark, I said, there are planets all over the place, not just our solar system, Mr. Strom. And he said, George, how do you know this? You can't prove this. We haven't discovered this yet. It just spouted out of my mouth. I said, everything's the same in the universe. The complexity, the suns, the stars, it's got planets, everything is the same. And he wouldn't accept that. I was right.
Well, he, as an astronomer, or as a scientist, he wouldn't accept it unless there's any evidence for it, would he? So, you know, it's certainly good and right, and the best thing to do, to imagine and to dream. But unless there's evidence, it's very difficult for a teacher, certainly, to make a statement. But yeah, absolutely, you're spot on.
Tell me about the title of your book, which is really important to the whole thrust of the book, A Space Traveler's Guide to the Solar System.
Yeah, so what I wanted to try and achieve with the book was to, as a child, what I did dream of was travelling to the planets myself and becoming an astronaut. And obviously, as years progressed, I never quite sort of reached that goal. But the concept of the book isn't so much just a book about the planets, because there are plenty of really good books out there. But what I wanted to try and do is to somehow elicit the feelings, the emotions, the experience of such a journey around the solar system. So it's not just looking at the planets and the things you might see if you were journeying around space, but it's also what you would experience and some of the challenges that we as human beings have still got to address if we are ever going to spend lots of time in space. We've had people up in the space station for over a year. I think it's been the longest time anyone's spent in the space station. But a journey around the solar system would take something like 20-odd years. So it's possible in a human lifetime to do that, but at the moment, no one's ever spent anything like 20 years in space, and there are huge challenges that we have to address before we can achieve it.
One being, you'd go crazy being in a spacecraft, wouldn't you?
I think that's a big issue. So I think there's the physical rigors of space travel is one issue, but also, you're right, the psychological issues. There are plenty of people in this world that we love. We've got family, we've got friends, but the thought of perhaps being locked up with those people in something which might be the size of a small house for maybe 20 years, that's a phenomenal thing to try and achieve. To be locked up with the same people for 20 odd years, where you could never really truly get away from them. I think you're right. I think you'd go utterly crazy. And of course, the other challenges are the sort of entertainment, because you're going to be travelling between the planets and taking years to get between them. In some cases, towards the outer solar system. And other than stars in the sky, that's kind of all you're going to see until you get closer to the planet. So yeah, it would be a real psychological challenge to achieve it.
And what happens if you're a year out into space, Mark, and gosh, I don't know how far that would be, and you get claustrophobic? You have to get out of a space capsule. You can't handle it anymore.
No, I mean, certainly you could pop outside on a spacewalk, maybe, so you could tether yourself up to the spaceship and nip outside, but you still don't have that experience of open spaces. I don't think even if you're in a spacesuit, you're still going to potentially suffer claustrophobia. And it's interesting that NASA astronauts have reported missing the colour green on the space station, and it's almost so we've kind of evolved in harmony with plant life, and so to spend a long time without seeing green, actually that's a really big challenge. And also, I think the thing that I would probably miss most is fresh air. So whilst we can produce wonderful air conditioning systems, and we can get very clean, very pure air, what we can't do is we can't simulate fresh air. And we've all done it. We've all been there, where you've been locked up in an office or in a house or in an aeroplane for a few hours, and you step outside and you can take a big breath of fresh air, and potentially over a 20-year period you might not get that at all, and that must be awful to experience.
Mark, I would miss a sunny day with a blue sky. I would miss a rainy storm. I would miss a snowfall. I would miss a night sky looking at the moon and twinkling stars. I'd miss all that on a trip like that.
You still get to see twinkling stars, but you might be, if you could actually go down to the surface of Venus, you might experience rain of sulfuric acid in the atmosphere. You might see a red sky if you went to Mars. So you would get some of the sort of the same views, but it's not the stuff that we're familiar with. And you're absolutely right. Seeing the familiar sight, the moon in the sky, or blue sky with the sun just rising, it's stuff like that. I think you get so emotionally attached to that we just don't realise it, and suddenly disconnecting yourself from that, and then and actually not having it for 20 odd years, that's actually really hard.
Mark, we're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back and talk more about A Space Traveler's Guide to the Solar System. Next hour, we'll take your phone calls with Mark Thompson, You can just imagine where you'd go into space if you had that opportunity. His book, again, A Space Traveler's Guide to the Solar System, his website, MarkThompsonAstronomy.com, is linked up for you at coasttocoastam.com.
Never miss a detail on a show or a guest. Sign up for the Coast Zone email newsletter, available for free at coasttocoastam.com.
On the half and when it breaks.
I'm Michael Crozier, live from the KFI newsroom. Senior U.S. military officials have appeared before a House Oversight panel to talk about enlistment bonuses paid to members of the California National Guard who re-enlisted. Army Major General David Baldwin called for a streamlined process to make sure thousands of soldiers won't be forced to return the money.
I find it unacceptable that we would place the additional burden of years of concern about the legitimacy of a bonus payment or a student loan repayment on those who volunteer to serve.
Audits found recruiters used bonuses to get Guard members to re-enlist, even if they were not eligible for the extra pay. A West Covina city councilman's been sentenced to 3 years probation for driving under the influence and crashing into a utility pole. That wreck happened in June. Michael Spence said he broke his hip, femur, back, and a couple of ribs in the crash. He pleaded guilty today to a misdemeanor charge. Tesla's giant battery factory in Nevada has only hired about 20% of the number of employees it projected would be in place by the end of the year. State lawmakers there approved a $1.3 billion tax incentive after being told the electric car company planned to have 1,700 factory workers by the end of 2016. Independent audit results released Monday showed only 331 people on staff. And Starbucks has announced plans to open 12,000 new locations by 2021. The move will increase its store count to 37,000 worldwide. The new stores are part of the coffee chain's 5-year plan to boost annual profits by 10%. Traffic from the helpful SoCal Honda Traffic Center. It's all shut down in Corona.
Yeah, it's full freeway closure on the eastbound side of the 91 at the 15. That's where all lanes are shut down. They say that's going to go as late as 5 a.m. You ride pretty jammed up as you come away from Lincoln. What they're doing here is diverting all that traffic onto the northbound side of the 15 freeway. Heard from Boomer on the Ralph, saving you time. Traffic line, 888-500-5003. He gave us the update heading into Inglewood, 405 north before Century. Fender bender in the right lane. CHP's on the scene. You ride a little sluggish coming off of the 105 now. And we have a SIG alert in West LA, 405 south at Sunset. Police activity here as the off-ramp shut down. You ride a little heavy as you move through on the main line. KFI traffic now with even more coverage of where you drive most. I'm Ryan Duggan.
For the largest selection of mattresses in the USA, come to Sit and Sleep. Sit and Sleep will beat anyone's advertised price or your mattress is free.
Lots of clouds out there tonight. Lows below 50 degrees. Sunny tomorrow and a degree or two cooler. Around 60 at the beaches. Highs close to 70. Mid-70s inland. Pretty consistent through the weekend. It's 54 in Burbank. KFI News leads local. News on the hour and a half and when it breaks. I'm Michael Crozier.
Hey, it's Shannon. Budget is a scary word because it's kind of impossible to stay within one when you live in LA. Rent has skyrocketed over the past several years, and it's hard to find affordable housing, especially if you're paying off college debt, right? Well, Bank of America has a new program at BetterMoneyHabits.com. I wish this program was around years ago. Would have made my 20s a lot easier. This program tells you how you can pay off that debt, pay the rent, and not live paycheck to paycheck. Yep, pretty cool, because when we're financially stable, we just feel better. Check out BetterMoneyHabits.com, brought to you by Better Money Habits, powered by Bank of America.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job. It's such a hassle, the searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just click the banner now or go to ZipRecruiter.com/iHeart. That's ZipRecruiter.com/iHeart. ZipRecruiter.com/iHeart.
Pride in American craftsmanship. Don't fall for these bogus solar leases. Yes, you can save $1, but do the math. Over 30 years, you can save more than double when you own the panels compared to a lease. And you get to keep the 30% tax credit. Plus, Peterson-Dean has amazing zero-down financing options to fit almost any budget. It's Peterson-Dean Roofing and Solar. 877-959-5429. 877-959-5429. 877-959-5429. PetersonDean.com.
KFI, an iHeart radio station.
In terms of what Trump is going to do, I don't think he's going to get involved with the military at all. Now, we're already spending $500 billion and change. I don't know how much more military you need to go after ISIS.
Bill Handel, tomorrow morning at 6. KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk.
This is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Well, you space buffs, next hour we'll take phone calls with Mark Thompson as we talk about his work, A Space Traveler's Guide to the Solar System. Where would you go if you were in a spacecraft and you had one planet to visit? We'll talk about that, too. Coast Insiders, by the way, it's time to take care of your friends for Christmas. It's 15 cents a day. Pick up that membership, and they will love you forever. Listen to some of these insiders.
I love being a Coast Insider. I travel a lot. I can always have my shows. I download them on my podcast and never miss a thing. And every show, I learn at least one thing.
Hey, this is Buck. I'm a Coast to Coast Insider, and I'll tell you what, it's a great thing for me. Here in West Virginia, we get inundated with snow. But it doesn't matter as long as we have our provisions. I've got 5 years of coast-to-coast programs to play.
Oh, Buck loves being an insider, as everybody else does. So simply go to our website to sign up, where it says Coast Insider. And again, it's 15 cents a day.
KFI, AM 640.
Gold and silver prices are moving higher. Do you know why? It's another big name, China. And right now, China is making bold moves to replace the U.S. dollar with its own currency. They've dumped $100 billion worth of U.S. bonds, and they're stockpiling gold and silver. Now our interest rates are rising, and so is the price of gold and silver. Will China's moves turn your dollars into worthless pieces of paper? Find out. Call Lear Capital at 1-800-474-4259 to receive the latest insider report on how China could burst our bond bubble, crash our dollar, and help drive gold and silver prices to record highs. The report is free, so call now. 1-800-474-4259. Then ask how you can get up to $500 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Just pay shipping. Don't wait. China is making their moves. So call 1-800-474-4259, 1-800-474-4259.
One of the best recommendations that I could give is to keep your immune system strong.
Ty, by the way, is also a spokesperson for one of our clients, Carnivora. And I believe the owners of Carnivora heard you on the program, Ty. Is that how that happened?
Yeah, it's funny, George. You know, you interviewed me for the first time about 4 or 5 years ago. And when we were on that interview, I talked about how my family took Carnivora each day. And the owner, Richard Ostro for Carnivora, contacted me after that and said, hey, I'd love for you to do some commercials for us because you're a believer in the products. What's the difference? It's the immune system. If we want to be healthy, it's just a great product.
Owner Richard Ostro here. Call 1-866-836-8735. That's 1-866-836-8735 or visit carnivora.com. carnivora.com. Call now.
KFI AM 640.
And welcome back to Coast. Mark Thompson with us. Mark, if you had that opportunity to visit one planet in the solar system, which one would that be?
I think it would have to be Mars, simply because it's the one planet you kind of stand a chance of surviving. I think there would certainly be some other places I would travel to have a look at. Neptune, Uranus would be, I think, really fascinating worlds to visit because there's a theory that due to atmospheric pressure there, we might find icebergs of diamond, and that would be fantastic. It would make me very rich, but it would be quite a fantastic sight to see. But I think I would probably travel to Mars because you've got a chance of actually, making it a home, and you could walk around on a solid surface, unlike Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, which are gas planets. So I think Mars would certainly be the place I would go to.
I'd go to Mars, too. It would be fascinating. Do you think if we went there, we would find some kind of historical artifacts of perhaps intelligent life that once lived there or something?
It's difficult to tell. I think we've explored probably 1% of the surface of the planet from the planet. We've imaged a lot of the planet from orbiting spacecraft, and there's nothing that's been seen yet which isn't explainable as a natural phenomena. So there's nothing yet that's made me think that there's ever been any sort of advanced civilization there. However, there is evidence that the atmospheric conditions on Mars were once conducive to life. So we've not found any evidence of any biological activity on the surface of the planet, but what we have found is that at one point, look, we can study the rocks, we can study various atmospheric effects. What we can tell is that it would have been capable, we think, of sustaining life at some point in the past, but to date, we've found no evidence of that yet.
What about intelligent life outside of our solar system, somewhere out there? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a wonderful. Again, there's not a shred of evidence that there's even life outside the planet Earth. But there's a few interesting angles on that. If you were to ask my opinion, yes, I think intelligent life exists out there. You've only got to look at the sheer scale of the universe. We live on one of 8 planets that orbit around a sun, which is a fairly average star. Stars are just the same as our sun; they're just a lot further away. So we orbit around a fairly average star. In our galaxy alone, it's thought there's up to 400 billion stars, and that's just in our galaxy. Now, billions and billions of other galaxies, and then you've got to look at the fact that we've discovered already, we talked early on in the slots, about the number of planets that have been discovered outside our own solar system. So we've discovered around 3,000 other planets. So, yes, I think if you can ask my opinion, yes, I think that the chances of us finding that we're not alone in the universe are pretty high. I think there is intelligent life out there somewhere. Whether we'll ever get to communicate with them, I think, is a totally different issue.
Mark, what about this planet? That it might have been visited by extraterrestrial life. So many people have reported seeing strange objects, landing craft, abduction cases. And even if you rule most of them out, there still could be that little % of reality there. But what do you think of that?
It's a really, really difficult one. As a scientist, I have to and I want to remain open-minded until evidence proves one way or the other. It's like the existence of God. Until someone can prove to me conclusively that he doesn't exist or that there is a God, then, at the moment, certainly my opinion would sway in one way or another. But so I'm open about the potential that we have been visited by alien spacecraft. However, I would add to that I've been looking at the night sky for 20, 30 odd years, and I have never seen anything that cannot be explained. And again, I guess if you apply the same sort of theories or the same sort of issue around the sheer scale and size of the universe, the nearest star system to our own star system is a star called Proxima Centauri, 4.2 light years away. So even traveling at the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second, 300,000 kilometers per second, it would still take you over 4 years to get here. So, if there is an alien civilization around the nearest star, even if they could conceivably travel at the speed of light, and that is proper hardcore technology if they can do that, even if they could travel at the speed of light, it would take 4 years to get here and then 4 years to get home. So, I don't know, there's a bit of me that thinks if they're going to come here, then you'd make more of an effort to communicate or to integrate or kind of get involved in the people that you're going to see, rather than just kind of knock around, maybe pick up with the odd person, abduct them, twiddle with their memory, and then send them back in. So I think intelligent life exists. Yes, I would certainly bet money on the fact that intelligent life exists elsewhere in the solar system. Elsewhere in the universe. Very different from the solar system, of course. Whether we've been visited for it, of that I'm sceptical until I can be shown evidence otherwise.
So you would not be an atheist of things, you would be more agnostic, just waiting for proof.
Yes, I would be. I guess I would be, but I would be verging towards the atheist sort of concept, simply because, again, I've seen no evidence. I'm open-minded to stuff until I can see evidence otherwise, and that's how science should be. Science should be purely about evidence-based observations. And if there's evidence for stuff, fine. If there isn't, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means you haven't found evidence. Whereas a wonderful saying that absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. And I think that's very true. And that's how how these sort of issues should be considered.
Mark, a couple of years ago, I was invited to attend a UFO conference in California, and I went. And one of the events up on the roof at night was an individual who has since passed on, where we were looking at the night sky with night vision goggles. And we were looking at the stars up there, and clearly you could see them. But he said, watch this. And then he'd point out some things. And I've got to tell you, I saw through my own eyes in the night vision goggles, I don't know what they were, but two objects. And they were way up there because they were moving dots. But they would go from point A to point B, stop, make a right-hand angle turn, stop again, and then zoom off. And I saw that twice. And I've got to tell, I do not know what they were. They weren't insects. Nothing does anything like that. And they were clearly way up there in the night sky. I don't know what they were.
And I can't, I would love to see it. It's so very difficult, isn't it? When you hear people's descriptions of things, and that's not something in itself is really interesting, because I've over the years had so many emails from people who've said they've seen something in the sky, and they want me to explain what it is. And I've had people explain exactly the same phenomenon. So Venus is a great example, which is a planet which is always really bright in the sky, generally low down in the sky either before sunrise or after sunset. And the number of times I get emails from people asking what Venus is, and that's one of the few things that does sometimes get sort of raised as a UFO, but actually it's a planet in the sky. But even so, you still get the same people, or different people, talking about the same object, and yet their narrative, their description of what they can see varies wildly. So it's very difficult as a scientist, particularly, to take something which is people's perceived experience and to try and decode that into what actually has someone really seen. So unless you get some sort of video footage, but even then, of course, it's still difficult these days as well.
It's fucking boring.
I thought maybe we have incredible technology that we had up there. That was possible. That I thought,
it was all right.